Hello dear students, we'll try to understand how the questions of data sufficiency are given and how can we tackle the questions which are related to data sufficiency. So basically data sufficiency questions are given in such a way that you are going to have two statements and five options are given to that particular statements. We need to check which statement is sufficient for answering your question. So that means basically you're going to see exactly the question as like this. There is a question or a condition will be given followed by two statements. You just need to read that question. For example, question is find the area of the circle. So in order to find out the area of the circle, what is required? Area of the circle is given as pi r square. Radius is required in finding the area. Radius is required in finding the area. So here you are going to see the two statements followed by the question. Statement 1 and statement 2. So those two statements are given. You just need to read those statements and you just need to observe which of the following statement is going to give your answer choice properly. So that's how we have to do. So we'll try to understand how the questions are given. So how can we proceed with the solution? I have taken some example questions and we'll proceed accordingly. So every time you are going to see the option choices which are projected as like this, option choices which are projected as like this. So you are going to see the options. We are going to see the options. As option one is going to be statement 1 alone is sufficient for solving the question. And option 2 is going to be statement 2 alone is sufficient for solving the question. So option 3 is going to be this. So these are the options which you are going to see. The options are given in such a way that the first option is going to be statement 1 alone is sufficient for solving the question. Second option, statement 2 alone is sufficient for the solving the question. Third option is given as both statement 1 and 2 together are necessary to answer the question. So option 4 is given as statement 1 and 2 together also not sufficient for solving the question. So these are the options which you are going to have. These are the options which you are going to have. So just observe the options carefully. Look at statement 1 alone is sufficient. Statement 2 alone is sufficient. Both 1 and 2 together are sufficient. Both 1 and 2 together are sufficient. The next option is given in such a way that both 1 and 2 together are sufficient in solving the question. The next option, each alone statement is sufficient. Next option, both 1 and 2 together also not sufficient for solving the question. These are the fixed option choices which you are going to have. So they are named as ABCD. Look at the first question, try to solve. So if you observe, the question is what is the value of xy? So we have to find out the product of xy. So we have a statement 1 and statement 2. Observe the statements carefully and decide what is a possible answer choice here. The statement 1 is given as average of x and y is 7. Statement 2 is given as average of x and minus y is going to be 1. So you can just observe average of x and y is 7 means we can say x plus y is equal to 7. Sorry, x plus y divided by 2 is equal to 7. What is this ABCD indicates, which I already shown you in the previous. A indicates statement 1 alone is sufficient for solving the question. B indicates statement 2 alone. C indicates both together. D indicates neither of the statements. D indicates each alone statement. E indicates neither of these statements are sufficient. So these are the option sequence. So do remember. I will explain about this chart soon. So we can just understand now. What is the value of xy is a question. Average of x and y is going to be 7. So first look at two important instructions before we are solving the questions. What is the important instruction is when you are solving the question which is related to average, when you are solving the question which is related to data sufficiency, read the statements individually. Read the statements individually. That means, for example, if we have the question as what is the value of xy. So when you are reading the statement 1, forget about statement 2. So forget about statement 2. So average of x and y is going to be 7 is the statement which is given. So average of x and y is going to be 7 means x plus y divided by 2 is going to be 7. So from this we can say x plus y is going to be 14. X plus y is going to be 14. So using this, can we able to answer the question? That means here they are asking xy value. Using x plus y is equal to 14, can we say x and y? So definitely there are so many possible values are there. So many possible values are there. So that's the reason what we can do is, so x can be 0, y can be 14, x can be 1, y can be 13, like this infinity values are possible. That means we can understand that statement 1 is not giving the answer. Once you realize that statement 1 is not giving the answer, you can eliminate option A and you can also eliminate option D. Why? Because option A indicates that statement is enough. Option D indicates each alone. That means 1 is sufficient and individually 2 is also sufficient. Because 1 is not a correct statement here, so we can simply eliminate that from the given statements. So we can eliminate that from this and look at the second statement. When you are looking at the second statement, don't carry the first information to the second. So what is the second statement? Average of x and minus y is going to be 1. That means x minus y divided by 2 is going to be 1. From this, we can say x minus y is going to be 2. So using only this information as x minus y is equal to 2, can we say what is xy value? No, definitely we cannot say what is xy value using this. That means statement 2 individually is not correct. So when you realize that statement 2 individually is not correct, simply eliminate option B. Okay. And now, because we are unable to answer individually, we are eliminating A. 1 is wrong, eliminating A and B. 2 is wrong, eliminate B. Now, because 1 and 2 individually not giving the answer, let's match these two statements together. So what is the first statement is trying to say x plus y is equal to 14. Second statement is trying to say x minus y is equal to 2. So using this, or if you match these two statements, you can individually get the value of x, individually get the value of y. So when you know x and y, so we can easily find out xy. That means if you match these two, you are getting the answer. Mark it as option C, eliminate option E. And that's what I have mentioned in the flow chart here. So when you look at the statement 1, if statement 1 is correct, so you can say this is statement 1. If statement 1 is correct, you can fix either A or D. So if statement 1 is correct, you can fix either A or D are the answers. You can eliminate B, C, E from the scenario. So, and now look at the statement 2. If statement 2 is also correct, mark it as D. If statement 2 is wrong, mark it as A. So that's what you can do if 1 is correct. So if you look at wrong, 1 is a wrong statement, then you will eliminate A and D as we have done in the previous. BCE will be with you. Now look at statement 2. If statement 2 is also wrong, then eliminate B. Look at C and E by merging 1 and 2. If 1 and 2 is giving the answer, mark it as C, otherwise mark it as E. So, and when we are going to go with the option B, if statement 2 is correct, directly mark it as option B. Eliminate C and E from the scenario. That's what your flowchart. Let's look at one more question which is available on the screen. They are asking us to find out what is the speed of the train. So how to find out the speed? Speed is given as distance by time. So as per the given data, what is the speed of the train? Speed is given as distance by time. 220 meters long train crosses a signal pole in 11 seconds. This is a given information. So second information, 220 meters long train crosses a platform in 44 seconds. What we have to do, take the statements individually. So look at the first statement. First statement is trying to say that 220 meters long train length is given. It is crossing a pole in 11 seconds. So speed is given as distance by time. So crossing a pole means pole is a negligible length. So we can easily say 20 meter per second is going to be the speed. That means the first one is giving the answer. Fix it as A and D, B, C or eliminated. Now look at the second statement. As per the second statement, 220 meters long train is crossing a platform by taking 44 seconds. See here, in order to find out the speed, so speed is nothing but distance by time, right? So time is given 44 seconds, but distance, if you observe 220 meters is the length of the train, but the length of the platform is not given. So we can take length of the platform separately. So because we don't know, you can keep it as it is. So that means second statement is not giving the answer. Eliminate option D. Fix your answer as option A. Fix your answer as option A. Let's look at the next question, which is available on the screen. They are asking us to find out the value of x. If you look at the first statement, x square is equal to 4. So by observing x square is equal to 4, we can say x can be either plus 2 or x can be minus 2. So we cannot able to say exact value of x using statement 1. That means option A and D are eliminated. Look at the second statement. Second statement is trying to say that x is lies between minus 10 to plus 10. So if x is lies between minus 10 to plus 10, x is lies between minus 10 to plus 10. Here also, we cannot able to predict the value of x. X will take so many values, but you should get a unique value for x. So even option B is also not giving the answer. Eliminate this. If I match these two, will I be able to get the answer? So if I match these two, that also not giving the answer. Eliminate option C. Mark your answer as option E. Look at the next question available on the screen. So what is the value of PQ is a question. So in order to get PQ, what is the statement one? Statement one is given as P is equal to 25 percentage more than Q. So 25 percentage of Q plus Q. So P is equal to 125 percentage of Q. This is first statement. That means we can say P is equal to 125 by 100 into Q. So this is giving 25 5s are 25 4s are. P by Q is equal to 5 by 4 in this data. So look at the other one. So Q is equal to 25 percentage more than P. See, using this statement, can we say what is PQ value? So P by Q value, we are able to see 5 by 4, but PQ value exactly we cannot able to see. So look at the second one. Q is 25 percentage more than the P. That means Q is equal to 125 percentage of P. So Q is equal to 125 percentage means we can say 5 by 4 of P. So using this, we can say Q by P is equal to Q by P is equal to 5 by 4. So here also I cannot able to say because I'm able to see the ratio. So ratio is going to be 5 by 4 means it can be 5 or 10 or 15. So it can be any other number. So we cannot able to predict the answer choice exactly from this. So definitely the answer choice will be statement 1 is not sufficient, statement 2 is not sufficient, even by merging these two. So if you merge these two, PQ is equal to 5 is to 4 and Q into P is equal to 5 is to 4. So using this data, 25 is to 20 is to 16 is the value of this. So that is also not, because that's a ratio, we cannot able to predict the answer. Eliminate this, mark your answer as none of these statements are correct. None of these statements are correct. That's how we have to proceed with the solution. So what you have to understand in all the questions of data sufficiency is, all the questions of data sufficiency, what you have to do is just wait. Let's look at one more question. Is the screen is visible now? Now is the screen is visible? Okay, fine. So I just want to tell you, like when you see any question from the data sufficiency model, and you see any question from the model of data sufficiency, just follow these particular instructions. So what are the instructions which you have to follow when you are solving the data sufficiency questions? Let me give you the idea once again. Whenever you see any question from the data sufficiency, whenever you see any question from the data sufficiency, first read the question and then look at the statements in detail. After reading the question, so you'll see the statement 1 and statement 2. So just read them carefully. If statement 1 is correct, mark A and D and read individual statement. Most of the students will do one common mistake when they are solving the data sufficiency questions. What is a common mistake students will be doing is they directly read the first and second statements and then they will decide what is answer choice. So let's look at one question like don't read together statements. If you read together statements, you always feel like your answer is going to be option C. That's the reason. Don't read together, read the individual statements. Let's look at one simple question. I'm looking for your responses. What is the answer choice? If you look at, they are asking us to find out this value. 2pq plus pq square divided by pq. So what I'm trying to do is, so in order to find out this, what is required? So let me look at, if you take out pq as a common factor in the numerator, you will get 2 plus q. If you take out pq in the denominator as it is, d square gets cancelled. Overall, your question is required is what is 2 plus q value. So in order to find out 2 plus q value, so if you look at the statement 1, p is equal to 2. Is that necessary for us? No. If you look at the statement 2, q is equal to 1. So that means q is equal to 1 is enough for answering the question. Mark your answer as option. Look at one more question available on this. So what is the product of ABCD? So does the product of ABCD is equal to 1? So here it's a condition based question. So if you observe the first statement, we are able to see AB by CD is equal to 1. So from this data, we can say AB is equal to CD. Using this, can we say ABCD product? ABCD product. AB is equal to CD is equal to, if it is 1, we can say AB is equal to 1. If it is 2, then we can say AB is equal to 4. If it is 3, then ABCD is equal to 9. So you have a multiple values for it. That means statement 1 is not giving the answer. That means option A, option D are simply ruled out from the scenario. Now look at the statement number 2. What is statement number 2? A is equal to 1 by B. That means AB is equal to 1 from this data. C is equal to 1 by D. That means CD is equal to 1 from this data. AB is given, CD is given. So what is ABCD now? So ABCD is equal to 1 into 1, that is going to be 1. We are able to mark the answer by using the statement 2. Fix it as option B, eliminate C. Look at the next question available on the screen. What is the area of triangle ABC? You have the statement 1 and statement 2. So in order to find out area of a triangle, we can say area of a triangle will be given as half into base into height. Half into base into height will use the area. So here the question is, what is the area of triangle ABC? AB is equal to 5, BC is equal to 12. So what is base and height? Base is nothing but this, height is nothing but a perpendicular line dropped from vertex to the base. So here only two sides are given, 5 and 12. So there is one thing which you have to remember. There is Pythagoras triplets, like 3, 4, 5 will be Pythagoras triplet. 5, 12, 13 is a Pythagoras triplet. So these are Pythagoras triplets. So you are having only 5 and 12 as going to be. Statement 1 is telling that AB is equal to 5. By looking only AB length, we cannot able to mark the answer. A and D are eliminated. Statement 2 is saying that BC is equal to 12. Only by using statement 2 also I cannot say. If I match these two, will I be able to answer the question? 5 and 12 are there. Linear arrangement means arranging the people in a row. Arranging the people in a row. So similarly, when they are facing towards south, so this will be the left, this will be the right. You no need to by heart this. So just remember this tag. So when they are facing towards south like this, then this will be the left and this will be the right. And sometimes we are going to see the condition as when the people are sitting in a circular table, all are facing towards the center. Facing towards the center means a person who is sitting here is going to watch like this. A person who is sitting here is going to look like this. So that means if a person sitting here is sitting in the north direction, but when he is looking opposite direction, that means he is looking seeing towards south. Because he is seeing towards south, this will be the left for that person, this will be the right for that person. Similarly, one more important point. When they are facing outside the center, when they are facing outside the center. So when they are facing outside the center, how to deal with that, we'll try to understand. So that means if a person is sitting here, he will be watching towards this. That means the person who is sitting in the north direction, he will watch towards north only. That means there is no difference here. This will be the right, this will be the left. So type 1 is a linear arrangement. Please observe the first question which is available on the screen. A, B, C, D, E sit in a bench in a row such that C sits between D and E. C sits between D and E. And D sits between A and C. And E sits between C and B. Which of the following will be the proper sitting arrangement? Just for understanding the terms, I am giving these questions. So, what is a proper arrangement? Arrangement must be option B. You can mark it as an answer. Look at the next question, which is available on the screen. Five persons A, B, C, D are sitting in a row. B is not at any extreme end. C is between B and E. C is between B and E. So it must be like this. C is sitting B and E. And A is on the left of B. A is on the left of B. How can we take it? A is on the left of B means we can say so. Look at the second statement. What is the second statement? A is sitting on the left of B. So we don't know in which direction they are facing. Let's assume that they are facing north. That's a default case every time. Do remember. So this is a right and this is a left for that person. So out of the 5 person sitting, B is not at extreme, not at any extreme end. B is not at any extreme. C is between B and E. Okay. A is left of B. A is left of B means we can say like this, and D is right of E. D is right of E means we can say like this. So then the persons who are sitting at the extreme end is the question. A and D are sitting at the extreme end. We can mark the answer choice as going to be A and D. We can mark the answer choice as going to be A and D. Look at the next question which is available on the screen. So in a row of six persons, D and C are immediate neighbors of A and C, immediate neighbors of A, and C is neighbor of F. The possible persons occupying two ends of the points in a row. There are six persons, namely A, B, C, D, E, F. D and C are immediate neighbors of A, like D and C are immediate neighbors of A, and C is neighbor of F. C is neighbor of F. So D and C are immediate neighbors of A. We can also say take like this, right? And the possible persons occupying the two endpoints of the row. So out of the given, A is there, C is there, D is there, F is there. B and E is not there. So where B and C they are immediate neighbors. So B and E kept like this or like this or in this way, like F C A D, B here, E here. So what is a possible answer choice from this? What is a possible answer choice from this? Who are occupying at the extreme ends is a question. So F and B, it's possible. F and B, it's possible. If I take like this, A and F, it's definitely not possible. A and F is not possible. And F and C, F and C is not possible. C and A is also not possible. So answer must be F and B. So that's how we can able to see the question. Look at the next question. In a row, there are six persons. D and E are immediate neighbors of E. D and C are immediate neighbors of E. So we can take like this. And B is a neighbor of A only. B is a neighbor of A only. We can take like this. A is a fourth left from F. So we can take everything as in this way. So who is at the extreme ends is a question. F and B are the extreme ends. So like that you can able to see the questions under the linear arrangement. Similarly, circular arrangement questions are given. So by default, they are facing towards center. If they mention they are facing outside the center, you have to take that. Okay. So look at the first one. So you have a data that A, B, C, D, E sit around a table facing its center. A sits between E and B. A sits between E and B. A sits between E and B. How can we take it? A sits between E and B, and D sits. Sorry. So this is a circular arrangement question, right? So circular arrangement question. A, B, C, D are sitting in a table facing its center. That means they are facing towards the center, facing towards the center. So when they are facing towards the center, when this person is facing towards the center, this is going to be north, right? This will be the right, this will be the left for this person. As per the information which is given, A sits between E and B. So, and D sits immediate right of C. So D sits immediate right of C means I'm keeping C here. D sits immediate right. So I'm just taking D as in this way. So because immediate right is going to be this. If B sits between A and D, so B sits between A and D means I'm taking like this. And what is the first information? A sits between E and B. A sits between E and B. So E must be here. Now the question here is who is immediate right of E? So when E is here, so E is facing towards what? East. What is right? This is left and this will be the right. So who is sitting immediate right? That's going to be C, mark it as answer. And that's what I have mentioned here. You can just answer. The same data, you can put it diagrammatically as in this. Look at the next question. 5 persons A, B, C, D, E are sitting in a round table. D is between A and E, and C is between A and B. The person sitting between B and D. Okay. So it's a direct question. No need to get confused. D sits between A and E. D sits between A and E. And C is between A and B. So that means C must be here, B must be here. The person sitting between B and D is a question. He is nothing but E. You can mark it as answer. So it's a direct question. You can just put them and you can able to arrive. So that's how you can able to see the questions which are related to seating arrangement. So major thing is please directly read the conditions. So read your conditions that will use your answers. I'll share the link.